Anthony David was the guy's name, and he found me through IG. He sent me a message and told me he loved my comment. The only place I really comment on IG is Reba McEntire fan page. I'm a big fan of hers, so I often comment on her fan page. Anthony said he was a widow, and he was in the U.S. Army, and had a son named Ben who was 8 years old. I told him that I had no kids and I was single because my boyfriend and I had broken up a little over a year ago. He told me his wife died in an auto accident while in Germany where they were living. I told him I was so sorry to hear of her passing, and he said since then he's been unable to open his heart and mind to meeting a new woman. He said he found my comments very intelligent. When I asked him if he was a fan of Reba too, he just said yes. When I asked him which song was his favorite, he told me he didn't have time to listen to much music, as he was currently deployed to Yemen for a peacekeeping mission. Anthony said he was 49 years old and planned to retire early at 50, and his birthday was 3 months away. He said once he finishes this mission, he could collect his $20 million in danger pay for taking this mission with the Army. I'm 43, and he seemed like an attractive man to me. He sent me a couple photos of himself, and while military men aren't typically my type, nor have I ever dated one, I found him to be attractive. He also sent me a picture of his son, who he said stayed with a nanny in Connecticut. He said he was going to be so happy to get back to the States. He said he was born and raised in Austria, and his parents were from Austria, but they died in a plane crash, and he moved to the United States to live with his uncle when he was 15. I told him some about my life. I live in Ohio. I work at a store as an ICC, an inventory control clerk. Anthony asked me to download WhatsApp so we could chat easier. I went ahead and got WhatsApp on my phone, and we started talking there. And he called me asking about my life, my favorite colors, my favorite foods, favorite songs. It was really neat to be asked, as most men don't bother to ask or even care. He said he was catching feelings for me, and he asked if he could call me again. We talked on the phone, and yes, he did have a very thick Austrian accent, or so I thought that's what it was. He started calling me every night around 10 p.m., my time. I told him I work very early in the morning. I wake up at 5 to get ready for work, but he said due to military guidelines, he can only call at certain off times. I admit I love chatting to him, and his son really misses having a mother figure in his life. He asked if I would email his son from time to time. I told him I would, but I would say that I'm just a friend of your dad's. Anthony wanted to rush into a relationship, and I said we need to take it slow, especially when it comes to your son, so his feelings are not hurt. That's when he told me that he felt so sad for his son because he misses a mother in his life, and his birthday is coming up and he will get nothing. When I asked him why he would get nothing, he said because he's deployed and he can't access his bank account. When I asked about the nanny, he said the nanny is paid by the military and he has no money to send her to get his son a gift or a birthday cake. He told me his son wanted a Steam gift card as he likes to play video games online. I told Anthony I'd never heard of Steam cards. He explained his son loves them to game online and it's a gift card. He asked me if I would buy his son a $100 Steam card, snap a picture of it, and send it to him so he could send his son the numbers on the back of the card saying it was from him, and then Anthony said he would pay me back once he got home from deployment, and once he was home, he wanted to buy us a house. I wasn't sure what to think about that. I live in a small duplex-style apartment. It wasn't a dump, but it wasn't great. The thought of a house was so cool. Anthony even said he looked at houses with a fenced yard and a pool. He painted this beautiful picture of a perfect family life that I've really never known. I wanted that so much. I ended up buying the Steam card for his son, taking a picture of the card back on the numbers on it, and Anthony said his son cried when he emailed it to him. I felt so important to Anthony and to his son. We started getting into a serious relationship, at least for online, until his deployment was done and he could retire. Anthony would send me pictures of houses he liked and wanted me to pick one to buy. It felt real to me, and I did pick out this one house I thought was beautiful. Anthony said he would buy it for us, and he spoke of marriage and more. Then one night he asked me if I would be able to loan him $5,000 to put a down payment on the house that we had picked out. He said once he got done with deployment and got home, he would pay me back double the money and give me this beautiful house to live in. But he had to put the down payment on it or he would lose the home to another buyer. I really didn't have that kind of money. I had a little bit of savings, but not tons. I ended up feeling pressure to get this money for him, and I took out 2 loans. The payments would be due in a month, and Anthony knew this. He said not to worry. He would be back and get his big military retirement check. That I wouldn't have to worry about making the first payment, and he would pay off my loans. Anthony gave me a bank account to transfer the money to. He said it was the real estate broker who was selling the house and sealing the deal. Since Anthony's overseas and can't do it, and the house was not in my state, I couldn't go there to secure the home. I did a bank transfer from my bank to a man in Washington where Anthony planned on moving me. That was where his home state was, or so he told me. I ended up snapping up a picture of the transfer, and Anthony said he would be home soon. He told me we did get the house and a key would be coming in the mail and for me to hold on to it. He asked if I would marry him, and he sent photos of different rings and told me to pick out the one I liked best. It was all coming true. The week Anthony was supposed to leave and retire, he said he was having issues with his commander and some paperwork was messed up and he would have to pay for his flight home. He said his check is waiting for him, but he has to get home to complete the mission and collect his retirement. He said the flight home would be $2,000, and he asked if I could send the money to the Army booking officer so he could reserve the special flight home. I told Anthony I don't have any money for that, and my loan was due soon. He promised me he would take care of everything. I believed him. I ended up using my credit card and maxed it out to pay for his flight. He had me wire the money using my credit card and pay the transfer fee. The money went to a man in the United Kingdom who Anthony said was in charge of booking flights, as he would have to fly into London before the States. I sent Anthony the confirmation number for the transfer. Then I told him to let me know when he would land, give me the flight info and more. After I sent the money, I stopped hearing from Anthony. His profile was gone and his messages stopped. I tried calling and sending messages, but he blocked me. I freaked and called the police. They said it sounded like I'd been scammed and took the information of who all I sent money to. I tried to email his son but got no reply. The police filed a report but did nothing else. I went to my bank and filed a fraud report and filed one with the wire transfer service I had used. Nothing came of it, and I was out all that money and a loan was due. It financially ruined me, and I've never heard from Anthony again. I don't even know who he really is. I'm now working 3 different jobs to pay off my debt, and I deleted all of my social media. It makes me sick, as do these scammers. I would like to thank this lady for sharing her story. Keep in mind, if someone asks you for money, especially when they claim to be in the military, it's going to always be a scammer. Just block and move on. And if anyone asks you for money, whether they're a military profile or a doctor or just a regular average person in the street, if someone's asking you for money and you don't know them in person, take a step back, look at the whole picture, and block the person. It's not worth losing everything over a bunch of lies. If you've encountered an online scammer, whether you've lost money or not, you can send us an email at scammingscammers@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook under the page Scamming Scammers Cyber Education. Drop drop us a message. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you do send us a Gmail email, please give me at least a week to get back to you. I am running behind on emails. We get hundreds of emails a day. But if you'd like to share your story, you can do it that way, and we will narrate it into a video after we verify your information. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, keep your money to yourself, stay safe, and block the scammers.